Do you want to win a free digital copy of Skyward Sword HD? I'm hosting a giveaway, so stay tuned for more details. The war between the goddess Hylia and Demon King Demise was the very first major conflict in Hyrule's history. Since both gods had rivaling power, Hylia was only able to subdue but not fully kill Demise. She was left wounded and used some of her remaining strength to steal Demise's spirit, knowing that he would inevitably return. She devised a plan which became the game Skyward Sword. Though the plot of the game reveals the highlights for her strategy, it fails to explain the strategic necessity for her actions and how they worked. For this video, I've teamed up with Cornelius Belmont, aka Pixel Fusion Production, to help theorize how Hylia masterminded her plan to ensure Demise will never obtain possession of the Triforce despite his curse. I'm your host Andy.
And I'm Cornelius.
And welcome to Zeldom. Before time began, three golden goddesses, Din, Nehru, and Furore, descended from the heavens. Din terraformed the world, Nehru established the laws of nature, and Furore created all life forms to inhabit the land. When their work was finished, they departed for the heavens and they entrusted a powerful sacred artifact they created, known as the Triforce, to the goddess Hylia. This artifact contains the power to make any wish its user has come true, but it does come with some qualifications. One of these is that it cannot be used by a goddess, meaning Hylia could not use the Triforce's power even to protect itself. Supposedly from a fissure in the earth, the Demon King Demise emerged with a horde of demons wreaking havoc in pursuit of the Triforce's power. While at war with Demise, Hylia gathered their surviving humans into the sky on cutouts from the earth with access to the Triforce secretly hidden with them. With the Triforce and remaining humans safe for the time being, Hylia continued to fight Demise and eventually became victorious, but at a great cost. She had become wounded from the war and was only able to strip Demise of his true physical form and seal him away. Hylia knew that her seal would not hold forever and that Demise would one day return, and with the injury she had taken she would not be able to always end up victorious in this eternal war, so she devised a plan.
Her plan was simple. She had been entrusted with the greatest power ever created. As a goddess, she was unable to use the power directly, a strange clause that has yet to be explained in the series. In order for her to use it, she decided to give up her divine status, becoming a mortal, and passed her powers down by blood. This of course is how the lineage of the royal family started, and why the princess all the way to Breath of the Wild continues to carry her power. Realizing that she herself would be maintaining the seal, she needed a person who she could trust, who could arise to use the Triforce in case Demise or some other evil arose. To do this, she needed to create a champion, a hero who would reincarnate and draw the Triforce of Courage in the event of a Triforce split. Using her very own goddess sword and the spirit within, she devised a set of trials to test mortals, with Phi acting as a guide. Once a worthy champion was created, their spirit would then reincarnate, who of course would become the recurring hero that we simply know as Link.
This is the canonical lore in the franchise, mostly taken from Skyward Sword, but not all of the details of Hylia's plan and why she needed to take these exact actions were made clear, so let's delve into it. One of the biggest questions that fans may have who aren't familiar with Skyward Sword's lore is if Hylia was the protector of the Triforce, why didn't she just use it herself in the beginning to eradicate Demise? Well, the answer to this is actually briefly addressed by Zelda in the game itself. For while the supreme power of the Triforce was created by the gods, all of its power can never be wielded by one. Page 71 of the Hyrule Historia even mentions how Hylia even attempted to use the Triforce's power against Demise but was unable to. We've already discussed how Hylia eventually was able to seal away Demise, but not fully eradicate him. As Hylia, also known as Zelda, told us in Skyward Sword, she knew that the seal on Demise would not hold forever. It's not clear whether or not Hylia knew the full details of Demise's curse, however I do believe Hylia had the foresight to know that Demise was her equal, and with her power alone she would never be able to permanently defeat him, that he would keep returning until he succeeds. Hylia knew she was going to need the power of the Triforce to eliminate Demise, and we know she solved this problem by reincarnating as a mortal. but Hylia had to be clever to address a major problem. When she gives up her divine form to become immortal, she would be able to pass a certain amount of her power known as the Light Force to her mortal reincarnation and future descendants. But reincarnating would take time for her to reawaken as herself reborn into a new form. During this entire period of time, Hylia's powers would no longer be actively maintaining Demise's seal, meaning there would be a very large risk of Demise returning during this phase of her plan. To solve this issue, Hylia prepared the gates of time for her reborn self to travel back to the moment immediately after she gave up her divine form, so she could still maintain the seal on Demise. Now she was in a state where she could use the Triforce herself in the future, but since she needed to seal her mortal self away to maintain the seal on Demise, she would need someone with an unbreakable spirit to fulfill her mission: Link.
Coordinating with Vi, she laid out trials for him to overcome. These would serve two purposes. The first being to grow the goddess sword into something that could definitively fight evil. The second, to make a champion worthy of the Triforce. Impa pushes Link to go and purify the blade by tempering it in the 3 sacred flames, and in doing so, to fully imbue it with the power that Link needs. She describes this by saying, "You and your sword must grow together. Only after your blade has been tempered will it be fully imbued with the great power you seek." This, of course, is the story of creating the Master Sword, and the spirit of the hero being forged alongside the blade. A more curious thing that happens during the trials, though, is that as Link and Vi imbue the sword more and more, the marks of the Triforce begin to appear on Link's hand, similar to what we would see later in the series. This is a topic that we discuss more on my channel, and what we are simply calling Triforce-Pairing. In short, as Link proves himself and interacts with these flames, he is also making himself worthy of using the power of the relic without triggering a Triforce split. Zelda says as much later on in the game. The mark that you see upon the back of your hand is proof that you are the hero of legend, and that within you dwells the sacred power. Vi is also likely completely aware of this, but as his guide, is simply directing him without fully explaining what is going on. During the same meeting with Zelda, she also says, "Now that those qualities reside in you, you are worthy of wielding the power of the old gods left to our kind. You can claim the Triforce." What is going on here is that Link is now paired with each virtue, and so he is now able to touch the Triforce without causing a Triforce split. Sure enough, at the end of Skyward Sword, we see him do just as Hylia had planned.
Hey, listen!
I may have accidentally pre-ordered 2 physical copies of Skyward Sword HD, so I'm hosting a giveaway for one of them. There are multiple things you can do to enter, such as subscribing to this channel and other affiliated ones, following my socials, and watching specific videos. I'll put a link down in the description below. Please make sure you enter a valid email address because this will be my only way of contacting the randomly selected winner. The giveaway will end on July 31st at noon Central Standard Time. The winner will be announced in the next video, and I'll contact through email. You'll have 48 hours to respond, and if I don't hear back within this time period, a new winner will be selected at random. I will be shipping internationally, however a handful of countries prohibit giveaways, and it's your responsibility to know whether or not you're eligible or not. Best of luck to my fantastic viewers, let's get back to the video. Now that we've established the full purpose of the hero, let's go back to Hylia for a second. Since Hylia needed to maintain the seal on Demise, she needed a hero to become worthy of wielding the Triforce and eliminating Demise. Seems simple enough, but if Hylia's only role during that time was to maintain the seal, what's the point of becoming mortal? With the threat of Demise gone, why would she even need to be able to wield the Triforce herself when she has Link? Because Hylia knew there would be many more wars over the Triforce, and losing a single one of them could mean the end of Hyrule's existence. Previously I claimed that Hylia foresaw a never-ending war with Demise, which in a way is true. It's heavily implied that Ganondorf was Demise reincarnated into a human form, who keeps returning after being defeated. Hylia foresaw that this would happen in some way or another. So Hylia's plan was to not only win this one conflict with Demise and Skyward Sword story, but also every other conflict in this eternal war. By being reincarnated as a mortal and forging the spirit of the hero, Hylia ensured that if the Triforce were to ever split due to someone with an imbalance of heart trying to wield it, that her descendant at the time and the one with the spirit of the hero would always be chosen by a piece of the Triforce. Due to this, every instance we see of the Triforce splitting, such as in Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, and all the others, results in Link and Zelda double-teaming Ganon.
We discussed Triforce-Pairing over on my channel, but we should explain some of the mechanics here as well. The thrust of it is that when a person bears the mark of the Triforce, like what we see in Skyward Sword, as well as other entries in the series, that they are paired with that piece. This means that they can use that power freely, and they can use that power remotely. We see this happen in Twilight Princess with Ganondorf at his execution, as well as in A Link Between Worlds, where the characters are clearly accessing the power while it is still in the Sacred Realm. More importantly though is the actual split mechanic that happens when an unworthy person touches it. As explained by Sheik in Ocarina of Time, when a person not in balance touches it, one piece remains with the user, while the two others go to those in the world most in tune with those virtues. The marks then appear on them, and it is this pairing that we are talking about. Ultimately, this feeds into the concept Andy is going into regarding how Hylia rigged the split mechanic in order to continue the battle with Demise.
This has been quite the deep dive into this single event in the franchise's lore, but if we think about it, this was actually necessary for every other Zelda story to happen. Hylia's strategy is quite genius, and hopefully we've brought up some points that you may have never considered before.
To summarize, the Triforce was created by the three golden goddesses at creation and entrusted to Hylia to protect. Demons then arose seeking the relic, and Hylia fought them and won the war. With her power now being used to seal their leader, she came up with a plan to safeguard the relic if it ever fell into evil's hands.
She made herself mortal, passing her power down by blood so that if a Triforce split happened, her descendant would be the natural choice for wisdom to go to. With the help of Fi, she then made a champion who would inherit courage in such a case, but who was also in balance with the three virtues, giving them the means to use the Triforce freely.
The journey to create this champion would also create the Master Sword, the bane of any new evil that might arise in the future. Ultimately though, it was her master plan to create a 2 versus 1 scenario we see echoing down the timeline.
What's your favorite part of Hylia's master plan? Feel free to start discussions down in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'd also like to thank Cornelius for joining me on this video.
No, thank you Andy for having me. It really is great to start working with other Zelda YouTubers in the community, especially so early in my channel's history. I also want to thank your viewers for watching to the end of the video.
Of course, be sure to go check out our other video on Triforce-Pairing over on his channel. Thank you so much for watching, Zeldom out.